Morning, everybody. Here we go. I'll get the Benny going here. And here we go properly.
Presenting Benny Goodman and his music.
Everybody. I had this thing on the wrong setting. There we are. Hey, Kathleen. Hey, Jim. Come on in and say hi, everybody. Okay. There we go. Hey, Cindy in Detroit. Hey, Portia, Martin, Kathleen.
In the Urban
Hey, everybody.
Hotel in Chicago. And first of all, one of Irving Berlin's greatest hits, Blue Skies.
Hey, Martin. Hey, Karen. Hey, Diane. Happy birthday to Karen up there. Hey, Bridget and Mary Jo, Gladys, Chris. Hey, everybody. Hey, Octavio, well put. Ice comes and asks you about your neighbors. For one thing, I have no idea as to the immigration status of any of my neighbors, but even if I did, the thing to tell Ice is, gargle my balls. Or, you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Hey, came. I saw, I parted. I came, said hi, and farted. That's a Bob line for sure. Hell yeah. Hey, Mom. I just about picked up my pencil jar to drink from, so that's where we are this evening. Miles. All right, Miles, you fulfilled your contract. You see, I also got this whole little side table here so I can try to work at my desk. The theory being that if I move the computer over there, he can sit on the desk itself and stop clawing at me. But he's fulfilled his contract. Hey, Bob. Hey, Don. Hey, Mona. I'm drinking some Jepson's Cognac Cask Bourbon. We got fancier drinks tonight, but Matthew pulled over to jump on here. Well, do be careful. We can't have you even virtually drinking and driving. Hey, Donna. Hey, Bala. Hey, Geraldine. Hey, Kristen in Wisconsin. Delafield, Wisconsin. Where is that? It's sitting in a bathrobe in South Wisconsin. I feel amazing when I'm all alone, switching between porn and RoboCop. Haha. Evening, Karen. Hey, Jason in Texas. 25 west of Milwaukee. Okay, yeah, that's South Wisconsin. Who works with the song Nausea by Jeff Rosenstock. Well, Martin, just don't come crying to us. Hey, Kelly in Elkhart. Elkhart. You have a good theater in Elkhart? We're trying to game out where the rest of the Dylan tour is going to go. After between Green Bay and Pittsburgh, they said there will be no Chicago show. That's the rumor, but several within 2 or 3 hours of Chicago. It seems like a winter dance party small markets tour. Marita, I am drinking some Jepson's bourbon from a cognac cask. Hey, Dad, Kathleen, Jeff. Hey, Diane. Hey, Kathleen in the whole euphonium section. I was just listening to a Freddie Hubbard record that's got a euphonium on it. At least Ready for Freddy's got euphonium. Hey, Diane. Lerner Theater. Okay, that's a possibility. Trying to game out, I mean, there's so many towns in Ohio. Like sub-Toledo level towns. Toledo, I think, is a safe bet. Tooley-doo, the kids call it. That's what we do to keep ourselves amused around here. Rita, that's totally fine. A lot of euphoniums around here. I played the baritone for a bit. That's very similar to the euphonium, I believe. Wow, thanks. Glad to hear that, Paula. On my heart. Hey, Betsy. Good evening. The miracle. Hey, Grandma Bell. I like Toledo because they have the fur shop called Roth Furs and they sell capes, which means that it is literally where the capes of Roth are stored. That's all I got. Other than that, like, in Toledo, you don't have to watch both ways on a Saturday night because there's no car coming. Home of the Mud Hens, though. They have the minor league ballpark positioned perfectly downtown. It's great. Scotch and amaretto. Interesting. Can't picture it, but maybe I can. I should be thinking less about that and more about the upcoming tour.
Benny Goodman goes way back and gets a lot of rhythm.
Okay, see, I believe most fur stores will sell capes, but you gotta go to a fur store, which might get you in some trouble. Oh yeah, Tony Paco's. I feel like I went to that. Remember, we did a Find a Grave Friday in Toledo a couple of times, and there was a pretty good donut place with all these like sex puns in the donut names. Like Ninth and Hennepin, where all the donuts have names that sound like prostitutes. But that's pretty much everywhere, isn't it? Sprinkles, Long John, glazed, plain cake, cream filled. All right. Custard. Party City locations have costume capes, but are they like? Is there a good pun on grapes of wrath that I could do with them? I mean, I just saw Chris. The Chicago for Chicagoans lecture was all about the freight tunnels in the Chicago flood of 1992, when the freight tunnels flooded. And he had pictures of the mattresses they were tossing into the river to try to plug up the hole. But also, I didn't realize that what they did to finally stop the leak was a giant custom balloon. And I couldn't get past this balloon that the company made a model of the freight tunnels to make just the right kind of custom balloon. Like, how did they even find these guys? Like, you go looking in the yellow pages under balloons, you're going to be finding, like, that clown supply shop at Grand Milwaukee and Halstead. It's like you got to know exactly which party city to go to. You can't just go to any party city, but the one on Western, you go there and ask for Bruno. He'll take you around the back. That's where they make the serious hardcore balloons. Or, of course, there's also the theory that, look, how is there even a company like this? Is there a lot of demand for a balloon like this, or do they just like sit around thinking, all right, it's my time to shine? Or the freight tunnels flood and these guys conveniently show up with their special balloon making materials, you know. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Carol, we're gonna give Benny Goodman one more tune here, then we'll get started properly. Hey, Jan, bottle of Sauvignon Blanc. Mocha cappuccino with Kahlua. All right. Now, Chris, it was a whole custom balloon that they made very quickly. So quickly that I actually get a little suspicious. I just couldn't get past the balloon thing. St. Joseph's Baby Ashford, Bartles and James. Thanks to everybody who's been kicking in donations to keep these things moving. Tom, Buffalo Trace, hard to find. I picked some up at duty free in the UK. All the way to Kentucky for Buffalo Trace. Well, I was all the way in Ireland, so I had a bottle in Scotland too. But I just kind of carried around with me through Election Day. I didn't want to fly back with it though, so I only got through like half of it. We're letting Benny Goodman finish up this tune, then we will start properly on a brand new edition of the Time Travel Pub Crawl. It's not brand new, but it's been so long since we did this one that it is practically brand new. Some of them I think have been reused in other ones, like best ofs or something. So I feel like I've done a couple of these since more recently. Evening, Lynn. All right, you know, that's Benny Goodman coming to you live from the Congress Hotel in downtown Chicago back in 1936. That's Benny wrapping it up, which means it's time for us to get started, which means it's time for the theme song.
Climb aboard, cause you don't know exactly where or when we'll go. Chicago 1893, or the Gilded Age in NYC. Blast off into outer space, drink till you're flat on your face. From the comfort of your home, so if you puke alone, one day we'll even find that place in France. And don't come crying to us if you pee your pants. Time travel pub crawl. Time travel pub crawl. Time travel pub crawl. Yeah!
All right, everybody, welcome along to another virtual time travel pub crawl. I'm Adam Seltzer from Mysterious Chicago Tours. I've been a tour guide and historian here in Chicago for going on 20 years now, and then I have added a few works to the literary canon, such as I Kissed a Zombie and I Liked It, Random House 2010. I Put a Spell on You, Random House 2008. I Beat Up Charles Dickens, Mysterious Chicago 2023. The brand new Banshee 94, which was sat in my drawer for a long time before I finally decided to just put it out a while ago. These are all highly literary masterpieces, of course. But also, of course, Graceland Cemetery, Chicago Stories, Symbols, and Secrets. Volume 2 is on the way. And Graveyards of Trinity Church and St. Paul's, new from Arcadia Press. I think it's out. I've literally received like zero feedback on this particular book. That's the thing. January release dates, you don't expect miracles. Publishing, you don't expect miracles. But I'll tell you what is a miracle is back in 1915, while they were dredging the Chicago River to lay down some cables, they found the wreck of what appeared to be a 40-foot-long homemade submarine. They put it on display on South State Street. For a dime, you could see the submarine and the dead guy they claimed to have found on board the thing. It disappears off the record in 1916. It was in the couch tomb. Yeah, we found it, and it turns out that not only does this thing go underwater, it also goes through time, space, it slices, it dices, also makes julienne fries. I really don't know what a julienne fry is, come to think of it, but I've been saying that for a long time. I ripped it off from the genie in Aladdin, and, well, far be it for me to stop ripping off Robin Williams. But all right, everybody, we are going to be focusing today on bars with literary affiliations, places where famous writers used to hang out, or at least allegedly used to hang out. So to start with, let's zap off into hyperspace. And we will find ourselves in Paris, here at the Rue des Fleurs, 27 Rue des Fleurs. This, from 1903 to 1938, was Gertrude Stein's place, shown here with Alice B. Toklas, who is sometimes credited with inventing marijuana brownies. It's a terrific movie from the late 60s called I Love You, Alice B. Toklas. The theme song gets stuck in my head. It's by no means a masterpiece of literature, but this became a hangout for all sorts of artists and other poets. Anybody who was passing through, people like F. Scott Fitzgerald, all had to come and hang out with Gertrude Stein and Alice. Including Sissy Patterson apparently showed up here at one point. F. Scott Fitzgerald, of course. But hey, for a good drink idea, you know who else used to come and hang out in this place? Hemingway.
Ahoy there. Pull up a chair. Match my wits, or at least my liver.
Hey, you know, we've been to a lot of bars that claim you were there. Those accurate?
I'd say they were lying, but who can remember? Good chance I was at all of them.
What happened to your hair?
Jungle Trek, the Amazon. Spiders the size of coconuts. Locals say they get in your hair, I say shave it off. Don't let hair stand in your way of living.
Okay.
Wanna arm wrestle? Worth it just to say you did.
How about we just have some
Drinks it is then.
Drinks,
Daiquiris,
all right.
My style. Rum, maraschino liqueur, grapefruit juice, and lime juice. I drink one, you drink one, we repeat until the bar runs out of rum.
You know, I've still got a tour to run. Okay, well, Ernest Hemingway, you never know what's going to happen when you bump into people like that. Among the other people who hung out around here, Bertha Palmer was known to pop in now and then. Not an artist herself, but she was a patron of a great many artists. And of course, here's Alice B. Toklas herself, looking like she would totally kick your ass. But while we are over here in Europe, let's make our way up to the UK. Don't tell these guys you're in Europe. I mean, technically. We'll fool killer our way all the way into London, where we can check out the Mermaid Tavern. As pictured right here. The Mermaid Tavern, named by a group that used to hang out here called the Damned Crew. They would wander around looking for fights. In 1600, one of them shouted, "I care not a fart for the Lord Mayor." Like, man, that takes nuts to tick off the Lord Mayor. He was fined and imprisoned after being tried in the Star Chamber on the Queen's orders to be made an example of. Now, this place burned in 1666, but it was also home to a place called the Cyrenaical Gentlemen, a group of writers. It is generally known now for being a place where Shakespeare is thought to have hung out. However, we have very little data about this. The first written reference to Shakespeare coming around here was written in the 1800s. However, this was a place known for its witty banter. Why wouldn't he have swung by? He did have connections to the landlord, Bill Johnson. He was into drinking Canary, which was a drink kind of similar to sack, basically a sweetened wine. Often said to hang out to it for Christopher Marlowe, too. If Shakespeare hung out there, it's to be assumed that Marlowe wasn't too far behind, or probably going there first, and Shakespeare just kind of following him. But let's take a look at this here. Oh, hey, we got a server coming up to talk to us.
Good even, gentles. Prithee tell, what news of court?
Or do the players trot once more in some new play this night?
We're not from around here.
Oh, thank God, you're not one of those writer types. I can talk like a regular person. All those doths and didst thous. It's exhausting.
Did people really talk like that then?
Most of the dumps around here? Nah. But this is the Mermaid Tavern.
And that makes a difference.
Oh, yeah. Ben Jonson, John Donne, that damn fraternity of Cyrenaical gentlemen. They always want me to talk all fancy pants.
Oh, wow. So did Shakespeare really come out with them?
Of course. All he wants to hear about is goddamn Billy Shakes.
Not into Shakespeare.
Wild Bill Shakespeare? You might know him as the Bard of Stratford-on-Avon, but to me he's just a giant pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, he's fun. Always cracking up that crowd of his with his quips during their bloody debates. But look at the guy. This is a man who sends every drink back twice and always leaves a mess. Stubborn, arrogant prick.
Well, I see. Is that even him?
Close enough. Got his smug expression right.
Uh-huh. Well, how about just some canary?
Pray, sir, wouldst thou take a drink?
Whatever Wild
some
Bill
mead
drinks.
Oh, sorry, force a habit. What'll you drink?
Whatever Wild Bill Shakespeare.
Canary it is. Fortified wine from the Canary Islands.
All right, is that like a white wine spritzer, basically?
You only live once.
Don't know what that is, but based on the crowd Billy hangs out with, I'll say yes. Be right back with that.
All right, so you know what we're having here, everybody.
The heck? You only live once. Give me a white wine spritzer. 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 Spritzer.
Dun, dun, dun. So this is one alleged portrait of Shakespeare, but this one only goes back to about 1670, several decades after his death. But that's a whole other story. Now, what Shakespeare was like personality-wise, we don't know that much. Ben Jonson had one thing about how there was ever so much more to be praised in him than pardoned. Recalled one time when they were rehearsing late and everybody was ready to get going, and Shakespeare said something like, "Caesar never does wrong but with good cause," and cracked everybody up. I guess you had to be there. Seems to me like he was a good man, but he didn't know when to quit. This is the Chandos portrait, which at least dates to his lifetime, but has no real way of letting us know that it's actually him. The portrait in the Shakespeare first folio by Martin Dreshout is, in fact, definitely a Shakespeare portrait. We know for sure this was at least supposed to look like him. It was done 6 or 7 years after his death, but it would have been enough for people who knew him that nobody complained that it looked nothing like him. At least not that was written down in any such a way. But hey, while we're in a Shakespeare's place, why don't we do a song that references Shakespeare and Caesar as well? Here's our own pal Ross Berman joining us from all the way down in the Bahamas right now. Dig it, Ross.
All through the summer into January, I've been visiting morgues and monasteries, looking for the necessary body parts, limbs and livers and brains and hearts. Gonna bring someone to life, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make my own version of you. Can you tell me what it means to be or not to be? Can't get away with fooling me. Will you help me walk that moonlight mile? Will you give me the blessings of your smile? I'll bring someone to life, I'll use all of my powers. I'll do it in the dark, in the wee small hours. I can see the history of the whole human race. It's written right there, it's carved into your face. Should I break it all down? Should I crawl on my knees? Is there light at the end of the tunnel? Can you tell me please? Stand over there by the cypress tree, where the Trojan women and children are sold into slavery, long before the first crusade, way back before England or America were made. Step right in to the burning hell, where some of the best known enemies of mankind dwell. Mr. Freud with his dreams, Mr. Marx with his axe. Watch as the rawhide rips the skin from their backs. You got the right spirit, you can feel it, you can hear it. You got what they call the immortal spirit. You can feel it all night, you can feel it in the morning. It creeps in your body the day that you're born. One strike of lightning is all that I need, and a blast of electricity that runs at top speed. Show me your ribs, I'll stick in the knife. Gonna jumpstart my creation to life. I wanna bring someone to life, turn back the years. Do it with laughter and do it with tears.
One of the best songwriters out of Chicago. That, of course, is a Dylan song about Dylan's basically commenting on his own creative process. But hey, you know, while we are in the UK, let's just head a little ways over in London to the old Cheshire Cheese, which was rebuilt right after the fire in 1667. So this one, there's actually like a whole pub ASMR. Put this in the audio. This is not a picture. They call it ASMR. But this was built right after the Great Chicago Fire that wrecked the Burbane. People like Dickens, G.K. Chesterton, Mark Twain, Tennyson, Doyle, Woodhouse. There's been a pub on this spot since way back in 1583. The cellars might actually be from a monastery that goes back all the way to the 1200s. Days of King John. Very narrow entrance. It's a very big space on the inside. Dickens. There's also a stuffed bird there, a bird by the name of Polly. Stuffed in there. They've been there for 35 years and apparently swore at Samuel Gompers and Charlie Chaplin. Among those later who hung out there, Agatha Christie was the one. In fact, she had Poirot with her. Polly died in 1986. The big drink you can get here, Pink Gin, which is just gin and Angostura bitters. You can check out their menu from 1923 right here. Cold dishes, cold roast beef or cold chicken. Yum. Ye pancake. No, it doesn't have the Y was just a publisher's abbreviation. So it's the famous pudding for 2 shillings and 6 cents. Beef with Yorkshire pudding for 2 and 6. The famous pudding 2 and 6. Roast chicken and sausage for 3 and 6. Of course, we all know it. 2.5 shillings. 12 pence in a shilling. 20 shillings in a pound. Real turtle soup for 3 and 6. Monastery soup for just a shilling. That just sucked. Really good fairness. Oh, you know, I turned my microphone down a little bit so I wouldn't interfere with too much with Ross. There we go. All right. But I didn't really say too much note here. It was kind of quiet, I know. I always try to fix the volume on these things, and this is what I get for it. All right. No music here anyway. So while we're in the UK, let's fool killer our way on up to another such place. This is called the Eagle and Child. The Eagle and Child was built around 1658, not mentioned in print until 1864, but it's old enough that could in fact be from 1658. Part of Oxford University's endowment since the 1600s, but they sold it to St. John's about 20 years ago. So there was a group here called the Inklings that used to hang out here back in the early 20th century. They would hang out and just read, talk, etc. People like C.S. Lewis, J.R.R. Tolkien, you know, all of these Oxford University types. But they've got an excellent set of ciders available here. So the club was just about over by 1950, but that was the year that C.S. Lewis showed off the proof pages for The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So entertaining us here, everybody here, our infamous fiddler, Amy McNally. Amy McNally, the infamous fiddler, with the Rashom Reel. All right, everybody, welcome along once again. So we are going to proceed. Let's move on from the UK. Go all the way down to the bottom, down there to Key West, across the blue, down off the Florida Keys. A place called Sloppy Joe's Cabaret that opened on the day that Prohibition ended. Hemingway himself is said to have named the place after the way that the ice on the floor melted all over on the inside of it. Here's how it looks today. Today it is your basic tourist trap. I guarantee you that band is going to be playing Margaritaville by the end of the night. Probably Sweet Home Alabama as well. Shudder to think. But here's how it looked back in the old days. Back before Sweet Home Alabama had been written. Back when it was all guys in checker suits and straw hats and sailors and women walking up and saying, "Hello, sailor." Things like that. But of course, it's best known for its association with Ernest Hemingway. Let's check in with Ernie. Ernie, we meet again.
What? I know you.
We had daiquiris at Gertrude Stein's.
Sounds like me.
It was like 15 minutes ago, but for me anyway.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Time-traveling submarine, about 100 of us.
Right, that rowdy bunch in Paris. Yeah, you made the trip.
All right, so still bald?
Bald again. Lice. Seedy hotel in Rosarito. Fish didn't bite.
Sounds like a good excuse to drink.
You need an excuse?
I suppose not. Shall I go to the Baccaries?
Long beyond daiquiris. Death in the afternoon. To quote myself, pour 1 jigger absinthe into a chilled champagne glass. Add iced champagne until it achieves the proper opalescent milkiness. Drink 3 to 5 of these, slowly.
That sounds like a lot.
How observant of you.
It is observant of me, isn't it? Well, all right then. Well, let's go back onto the mainland, everybody. Let's go up to Chicago. So I got a couple of places up here in Chicago back in the 1950s, back when Rush Street, State Street, the area around Tower Town, the Water Tower, was not really the Magnificent Mile. It was kind of the hobohemia capital of the city. Frequented by a guy by the name of William Lloyd Smith, died in 1985. I should figure out where he ended up buried. Very much doubt he has a gravestone. Probably, I think All Saints, actually. But in the 1950s, they looked at the beatnik scene in Chicago. The Chicago Tribune said, "In Los Angeles, a beat mocha parlor may go, perhaps, but not in Chicago, where men are men." This being that a lot of these beatnik bookstores only sold coffee, not alcohol. Now, Maury's Beatnik Bookstore advertised in things like the Chicago Review, meeting place for aspiring artists, chess tables available, paperbacks in print, art gallery. Not many paperbacks in print. Some of the people who hung out there were unsure whether they ever actually sold a book, and they were only open for about 6 months or so. In fact, by the time this magazine came out, this ad, the place was probably already closed. But William Lloyd Smith was fondly remembered. He was known to tell people never let school get in the way of your education. Then he would talk them into reading Dostoevsky. Just a couple of doors down was one of the several locations of a place called the College of Complexes, the playground for people who think. These people would do elaborate word games, attend lectures on jazz, do all kinds of competitions. There were writings and phrases all over the wall that were said to be witty as all get out. Most of them, the ones I've been able to track down, I've mostly heard a million times by now. But in the 50s, probably very, very witty as all get out. It was one of very few places in Chicago where a minor could not get a drink. Generally, anybody would serve anybody. Here at the College of Complexes, they worried that minors might lower the tone of the place a little bit. One of the signs said that minors were admitted if they were accompanied by their grandchildren. So a couple of shots survive. You can even see they've got these quotes written all the way up on the ceiling up there. Let's scroll this up a little, get a good of a look. Classic beatnik hangout. The measure of a man is the size of the thing that gets his goat. Well, all right. This is a guy just sitting here underneath a quote, the Abraham Lincoln, better to keep your mouth shut and be thought a fool, then open your mouth and remove all doubt. Sitting over the chessboard. There's a little bit of their curriculum that they would have for the month of September 1953. February the 4th of September, Yellow Kid Weil, the greatest con man in the country, would show up and give a speech called The Country Run by Con Men. Mr. Weil exposes the big con in the high places. Now that we're being governed by a group of scammer barons, that seems especially useful. The next night they were going to have a quiz show. You could win a pennant and a bottle. Friday the 11th is Religion the Opiate of the People. Super quiz for $10 on the 12th. Theory of Relativity explains so even you can understand it. Our American Union's governed by dictators. And then on Saturday the 19th, Saturday, September 19th, how worthless are you? Psychologist Gordon Finn will conduct some IQ and personality tests. Everybody plays. The college of complexes didn't have their own space anymore by the time I got to town. They were still meeting at the Abraham Lincoln restaurant. They popped up all over the place. And in fact, once I went to a function that many of them attended and just wanted to ask about the Beatnik Convention of 1960 when the Beatnik Party nominated a candidate for president. Directly below me here, that's Maynard G. Krebs for sure. William Lloyd Smith of Maurice Beatnik Bookstore, over there holding onto a hammer. So they were bussed by a guy by the name of Slim Brundage, pictured over here on the right, who considered himself the king of the Beatniks. That again is Bill in the middle there. They were bussed all the way to New York, though Slim Brundage only bought them bus tickets there, not bus tickets back. But they were the nominated candidate for the Beatnik Party for president and ended up picking, well, Slim Brundage expected to get the nod himself, but because he hadn't bought them all tickets back and everybody was ticked off at him, and I think they kind of thought the guy was a joke anyway, they picked William Lloyd Smith as the candidate of the Beatnik Party. And I was just going around asking people about this one time, about 2005, 2006, when I happened to be interviewing a guy by the name of Joffrey Stewart, who was out passing out incomprehensible leaflets about conspiracy theories. These have been his thing for 50 years by then. There's actually a reference to in Howl by Allen Ginsberg about the guy in Fireplace, Chicago passing out incomprehensible leaflets, which Joffrey swore was about him. He's mentioned in a couple of early Beatnik texts, and in fact, he was the vice presidential candidate for the Beatnik Party in 1960. He said what they did was, being anarchists, they went around and told people not to vote. Just because a vote for Will Smith is no vote at all. Basically, the whole thing was a giant art prank. I wonder how they felt when the election ended up being actually close and Nixon very nearly prevailed in 1960. Things like this, when you act like it's not really important and then things go badly, do you want to I hope these people just go and hide their head in the sand for the rest of time. I can think of a couple of singers from this past summer who I don't think should ever show their faces in public again until they reinvent themselves as a trad wife in 10 years. But anyway, since he is mentioned in Howl, several years later I was at a coffee shop where he was reading poetry. They asked if anybody else wanted to come up and read. I could not possibly miss the chance to do my parody of Howl in front of a guy who was actually in Howl.
So the best minds of my generation destroyed by Grimace. Starving, hysterical purple, and dragged himself to town from McDonald's land like a thief who'd come to steal the dawn, looking like a bloated Zorro in the hat and mask he had begged, borrowed, stolen from the Hamburglar. He crept into town gurgling rhapsodic jazz, making noises like a biker being violated under the streetlights in a great field of stars. Bring me a shamrock shake, he boomed in a basso voice that belonged to the thunder, and he laughed like the river below the Brooklyn Bridge as he wickedly demanded that we supersize it. But April had already sprung forth, and they were gone into sweet grandfather good night. Our mayor stepped forth to tell the beast that they were gone, and was grabbed by the velvet lapels and thrust toward the volcano of his red mouth screaming, and the Grimace gobbled Mr. Carlson and Mr. Stitches and all the homemakers, shareholders, sidewalk sliders. And the angel-headed hipster Pinko shouted, "We told you this would happen. We told you that consumerism would consume you all." Howl, 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 robble, robble, robble. It ate up their brains and imagination for the want of a shamrock shake.
McDonald's, solitude, capitalism, extra value meals, McDonald's the cheap, McDonald's the clean. Tell me, what can it mean that McDonald's is clean? McDonald's is your kind of place. I've heard they serve you rattlesnakes. McDonald's, where they dug in the back for the last packet of seasonal Shamrock Shake Mix. McDonald's, where they called in Mayday, Mayday to a clown who had packed up and gone to India. McDonald's, where the Grimace was arrested at high noon, broke the cuffs and slithered off laughing on the way to your town. McDonald's, where a plaque beneath the statue in the playland read, "My name is Ronald McDonald, King of Kings. Look upon my works, ye mighty, and despair. And despair, and despair we did." Mayor McCheese, I'm with you in McDonald Land. I'm with you in McDonald Land, where the burgers are sliced to the thickness and the glimmer of a Roosevelt dime. I'm with you in McDonald Land, where McDonald's pizza is more than just something I once saw in Minneapolis or was at Cedar Rapids. I'm with you in McDonald Land, where you counted the money you made off the Muppet Babies Happy Meal. I'm with you in McDonald Land, where the corpse of Mac tonight lies tangled in the arms of the corpse of the professor, and the early bird flies vulgar vulture circles up above. I'm with you in McDonald Land, where Officer Big Mac and the Hamburglar finally sit together for lox and bagels Sunday morning, and the Fry Guys also sit. I'm with you in McDonald Land, where still you forge the yellow signs, the glowing capital M's, the golden arches that light the highways of the Plutonian, American, Western nights. Let us all snap our fingers. It is said that snapping your fingers started the gaslight in New York because the people up above did not allow clapping. So they say. But while we're in the States, let's move all the way from Chicago over to New York and down into Greenwich Village, which, as of the 1960s, was still known primarily as cheap places for artists. Now it's a very diverse group of hedge fund managers, mutual fund managers, and index fund managers live around this place. Haha. But it is still one of my absolute favorite places to walk through. You can still see kind of the vestiges. You can still see kind of the echoes of when this was an artistic place. Of course, the kettle of fish next door to the Gaslight is long gone. Jack Kerouac used to hang out in the kettle of fish. However, the White Horse Tavern still stands. The White Horse Tavern has been there since the 1880s. One of the second oldest continually run taverns in town. Kerouac got kicked out of here pretty regularly. Aeneas Nin used to hang out here. Dylan Thomas allegedly drank himself to death here, but more likely he just had his last drinks here before he died. Originally a place for longshoremen. In Dylan's chronicles, he writes, "I got to be friends with Liam Clancy back in the early 60s, began going after hours to the White Horse Tavern on Hudson Street, which was mainly an Irish bar, frequented mostly by guys from the old country. All through the night they would sing drinking songs, country ballads, and rousing rebel songs that would lift the roof. The rebellion songs were a really serious thing. The language was flashy and provocative, a lot of action in the words, all sung with great gusto. The singer always had a merry light in his eye, had to have it. I loved these songs and could still hear them in my head long after and into the next day." So we got a song here as well. We're here inside of the White Horse. This is a place I have actually been myself. It didn't seem particularly artsy. It was just a place to get a hamburger for me. However, about 10 years ago, Dylan announced he was doing an album called Tempest. They listed the track list and told us that one of the songs was about the Titanic, but didn't tell us which of those song titles was about the Titanic. So I started a project where I got some of my songwriter friends together. We each picked one of these song titles and wrote a song with that title about the Titanic. And my friend Kathy McMahon and her band Random Fractions came up with a Titanic-based song for the title Scarlet Town, and ended up winning a whole bunch of awards with it. So here is Kathy and Random Fractions with their song Scarlet Town.
Danny and me for the land of opportunity. On side of the law, I held
Random Fractions, Kathy McMahon and Jason Nierenberg playing Scarlettown. I don't think Kathy ever did actually listen to the Dylan song of that name. I got to see the manuscript last month. It's written on hotel stationery from Istanbul. Let's check in one more time before we close off with our pal, Ernest Hemingway.
You're killing me, fish. Never have I seen a greater or more noble thing than you, brother. Come on and kill me. I do not care who kills who. To catch a fish, to kill a bull, to make love to a woman, to live. I thank you.
All right, Ernest Hemingway once again, everybody. And with that, we come back to the present day and time. I know none of us wanted to do that, but, well, here we are. And we'll bring back Benny Goodman. We'll just hang out like we always do. Thanks to everybody who helped join in on this particular time travel pub crawl. I'm Adam for Mysterious Chicago Tour saying stay safe, stay strong, stay spooky, hit up these donations wherever you can, and we'll just hang out like we always do. So thanks, everybody. Find a Grave Fridays tomorrow morning at 10. Kelsey Carter's new album is out in 2.5 hours. Thanks for all the claps in the comments there. Well, his hair does grow back. There are two Hemingway houses around Chicago. There's the one on the Gold Coast and the one in Oak Park. Thank you, Bob. Yep, joining the Patreon is an excellent way to tip. You can also tip Envy on the Patreon, of course. Help to keep these things going. Saul Bellow frequented Jimmy's in Hyde Park. Interesting. For a long time since I read Henderson the Rain King. Which is the one on the Gold Coast? It's an apartment. Oh, Krista, that's interesting. Military marker. He was in World War II. The Abraham Lincoln Cemetery in Elmwood. Huh. Is Miles still here? Kara, no, I saw the movie yesterday. 4th time around for me. With the Chicago Dylan crew plus the actress Wendy Roby from Twin Peaks and DS9. Mike directed a movie she was in. We talked about so many things in like 5 minutes. King John, John Barrowman. So where did Miles go? Oh, Miles is still here. Miles and Priya are both hanging out on the couch, back behind me. Gonna keeping his distance tonight, you know. Miguel, that's correct. There's not like one episode of DS9, but that's what Henry wanted to ask her about. Most people ask her about Twin Peaks. There's Miles. He was up on the shelf when I started. In-person tours are closer than you think. Just hanging out, these two beating the cats over here. Just chilling. These two will hang on the couch together. Lily will sometimes be on the same bed as Priya, but not Miles. Miles doesn't mind. Lily's just picky. Now, Miles had a busy day of clawing me up while I tried to do research for this British TV show. It's actually paying me a bit for a day of research. Dana, it is true. Yeah, I find that Twin Peaks people get into it because they need a project. I always enjoy it when I watch it, but I like the music better than anything else. Bob, they should start sometime about mid-March, I think. Let me check my March schedule. Probably late March this time. On account of I got a couple of tours I'll be in New York the first couple of weeks.
Down Harlem Way, they're all trucking. And here's Helen Ward to tell you all about her. Trucking.
But, you know, communities that are obsessively weird, I tend to fit in pretty well with. So. Bob, I would say the 22nd will probably be the first in-person tour of the year. But Wendy, who I saw the movie with last night, we played the one with the eye patch, who was inventing like silent curtain runners. Mike was a really big Twin Peaks fan, and he tracked Wendy down and got her to be in one or two of his movies now. She was great. We had a great time hanging out. Yeah, the 22nd will be right about our 5th anniversary, in fact. So, we gotta do something with that. Don't we now? What y'all say? He was married to like the Ed's gas guy, I think. Lynn, no. Bob, that's totally okay. I can't save everybody. So yeah, we're approaching in about 2 months. We'll be at 5 years of these tours. Wow. I think the first one was like what, the 28th?
Benny Goodman
First
presents
official one.
On the Alamo.
It was a few days after the whole thing started. Mike, yes, I would. Especially after Dylan eventually hangs it up. Then we can just follow Chalamet instead. It was fantastic on SNL. I mean, who does Three Angels? There are unreleased songs that are quite a bit less obscure than Three Angels. And we're all gonna have to do something anyway. So, I gotta take it to a Green Bay concert today. Dylan will hit Green Bay exactly 20 years after the Chicago Auditorium stand of Ot 5 ran. And you know, I really laughed hard at the fart sketch at the end, too. Karen, that's definitely the impression that I get. Yesterday he was just like posting random stuff on Instagram, like random YouTube videos that he was enjoying, like Eddie Van Halen shredding with Les Paul. Until apparently, then there was suddenly like a very official like account post. Like, anniversary of the Political World video. Everybody just waits for that. Ah, they took his iPad away. I mean, he gets bored, is the thing. I think he will keep touring as long as he possibly can, just because he has nothing else to do. Or nothing else that he wants to do. Like, it's not like he's financially hard up. He doesn't need to be playing, like, Green Bay, Wisconsin, and Wichita, Kansas. If he doesn't feel like it.
Right in the urban room of the Congress Hotel in Chicago and dance some more to
Nighty Night Phoenix,
Benny Goodman
8
and
Bat.
Orchestra, and here
Good night,
comes
Bob,
the
and
thing,
be yourself.
Eeny, meeny, miny, moe.
Most everybody who comes here should be themselves. Now and then we get somebody on the morning tours who should probably find somebody else to be. Joanne, Willie last year was the best I've ever seen Willie. Willie may outlive us all. And Willie is 91. Dylan's 83. And Mick is still up there running all over the place in his 80s. If it hollers, let it go, let it fly away. I'm feeling moderately tired right now. Partly because this particular cognac cask bourbon is strong stuff. Guideposts. I know about guideposts.
And we'll let
These
the title speak
mysterious
for itself.
ways.
Benny Goodman presenting Madhouse.
Hot tuna on Tuesday night. That'll be great. Chris, that's very interesting. The toddler walked all the way to the next town? You were raising that kid right. Have a good video chat, Lynn. See you on the flip side. Ship the light fantastic. Nighty night, Jen. Benny will be wrapping up in a couple of minutes. We'll just keep up with Benny these last 3 minutes. See any big news alerts while I was doing this? Nope, just a fog advisory. Dense fog advisory. And it's Find a Grave Friday. Chris, well, if you walked across a bridge, you'll be away from any headless horsemen, so that's good. Once you cross that bridge, my friend, the ghost is through. His power ends. Of course, by Find a Grave Friday is after the fog advisory is lifted. Alright, that'll be Benny wrapping up, so remember everybody, if you're here in Chicago and you see an ICE agent, you just tell them, ICE, you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. You just keep on walking. And thanks about everybody. I'm Adam from Mysterious Chicago Tours, telling everybody to stay safe, stay strong, and of course, if you can, do stay spooky. Thanks for hitting these donate buttons. Have a good night, everybody.